Hello and welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton, and welcome to another 24/7 news report. The headline news today comes from Jacques Talbot on Twitter and at Caught Offside is that Everton are preparing to hold talks with Chelsea over potential loan moves for Kieran Dewsbury-Hall, and Ben Chilwell. This is an interesting one, especially considering the whole Armando Broja situation going on at the moment, which we will get to a little bit later on in the video. But yeah, this is one where if we could get Dewsbury-Hall in specifically, it would be an absolutely fantastic bit of business from the club. He'd be a huge improvement over Decore, and he's a fantastic player. I think he's shown it in bursts in the Conference League and the little minutes he's got in the Premier League this season. It's hard to take a lot of his numbers into account, like he's in like the top 1% for a majority in midfield statistics, but that's because you've got to look at the competition he's played and the amount of time he's played. It's not been enough to really gauge much. But last season in the Championship, he was Leicester's best player in their promotion campaign, 12 goals and 14 assists in the Championship, and yeah, I think it'd be an absolutely fantastic signing. I think it'd be one where if we are going to loan him in and we send Broja back, we need to be looking at a permanent option, because this is just such a huge improvement, and having someone in that number 10 role who is comfortable on the ball, can play those passes, but also has an eye for goal is something that we really need, and I think it'd be something where it'd be such a huge addition to the side, where I just think it'd be silly of us not to take the chance to get a player of this level in before clubs above us in the league start to get interested. We did run a poll on the Twitter account at Everton Newsfeed, which ended with 3,150 votes. So I want to thank everyone for voting, and it was Kieran Dewsbury-Hall at Everton. Leave us your thoughts. 85% said yes, 11% said no, said maybe, and 4% said no. I'm shocked that 4% have said no. If anyone thinks Dewsbury-Hall is like too low of a level to play for Everton, then I don't know what sport you're watching, to be honest with you. I think it'd be a fantastic signing. I don't know what wages he's on at Chelsea. I don't know if it's easy to access those, but it's one where apparently he's on 80 grand a week. That's not awful for a player of his quality. I think he'd come in and immediately be in our 5 best players, to be honest with you. And yeah, that's probably more of a state of the club at the moment, but I think he's someone where even if we were finishing 7th or 8th every season, I still think he's quality enough to where he'd be starting 99% of the games for us if we were in that position in the league. Chilwell, on the other hand, is an interesting one. He hasn't had a season of over 25 appearances since the 2021 season, but he has shown in bursts at Leicester and at Chelsea that he can be one of the best left-backs in the league at a time. But I don't know about that anymore. He still can be a fantastic left-back and a huge improvement over Mykolenko, even though Mykolenko did have a really good game under David Moyes' first game against Aston Villa. It's an interesting one because he's on huge wages, something like 200 grand a week at Chelsea, and if we were going to bring him in, I think we should only be paying a quarter of that, maybe a third of that at the most, with the situation we're in. But yeah, I think it could be great if he can stay fit, but again, we said the same thing about Broja, and look at the situation we're in now. I'd much rather us going for a left-back who is going to be much more consistent, get more game time, and if we were going to get another loan from Chelsea, I'd much prefer it to be Dewsbury-Hall, but let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. If we were able to send Broja back, would you prefer Chilwell or Dewsbury-Hall on loan? The next bit of news comes from Fabrice Hawkins, and that is that Everton and Lyon have agreed a fee of around €20 million for winger Ernest Nuamah. Negotiations are in progress between Nuamah and Everton to find a total agreement, but all parties are confident of a deal being done. The problem with this deal is we've talked about Nuamah quite a lot on the channel recently due to the heavy link. We talked about him a lot at the end of the summer window as well. But the big thing that came out was then Hugo Guillemette from L'Equipe came out and said there's been no concrete offer for Nuamah by Everton, and that he is being courted by several Premier League clubs. David Moyes also then came out and quoted that he's a player that I know we've been looking at, but I can't say to you for a minute that I think it's done or it's underway unless something is happening that I don't know about. So I think that really sums up where this is going right now. I've mentioned in other news videos, since we've mentioned him quite a few times this window, that I think Nuamah will be a good signing. He's young, he's dynamic, he's fast, he's good on the ball, everything Everton need, and he hasn't played a lot of football, which I think is a lot of people's big worry, but I think anything's a huge improvement on Jack Harrison, and I think getting a winger in is the most important bit of business we could do this January, either that or getting someone like Dewsbury-Hall in, but then it would probably push McNeil or Iliman Ndiaye out to the right. Coming up next is that comes from Peter O'Rourke, and that's that Newcastle are lining up a move to sign Everton striker Dominic Calvert-Lewin on a free transfer in the summer. Everton are reluctant to lose Calvert-Lewin in the middle of the season and will demand £15 million for his early departure. I couldn't care less. If I'm going to be brutally honest, that Aston Villa game has just done even more damage to Calvert-Lewin's reputation. I think he started off quite well. I think he looked quite bright. He was getting into good positions and he almost scored in the first half, but it was, of course, a fantastic block from Kamara that stopped that. But then that miss at the end of the game, it's embarrassing to miss that as a Premier League striker, to be honest with you. And I think it's one where that's been the tipping point for a lot of Everton fans who may have been on the shelf with Calvert-Lewin about saying that there could be an improvement under Moyes. Of course, there still could be, but I can understand the club's perspective. If 15 million comes in, we've literally made 10 times our money. We paid 1.5 million for him. It's 10 times our money, and I think there's much better strikers available at the same price, to be honest with you. So I think it's one where I wouldn't be against seeing him go. I appreciate everything he's done for the club during his time, but at the same time, I wouldn't be upset to see him go either. The next bit of news is the Broja saga, and it comes from Paul Joyce saying that Chelsea are unlikely to agree to the cancellation of Armando Broja's loan that would allow Everton to strike another temporary deal with a domestic club. David Moyes also quoted that I don't think it is absolute. Now we feel his injury is not going to take as long as we thought it would be. Other people in the club are currently speaking with Chelsea. That's a good sign. If the injury is not going to be as long, but again, if it's still going to be 1.5, 2 months, we need to get that loan cancelled and get a player like DEWSBURY-HALL in or someone of that quality in from Chelsea, which is maybe how we will convince them, by sending Broja back and then taking another player off them. Maybe the way we can convince them to cancel the loan, but we will have to see. It's one of those where hopefully we can get it done. I like Broja. I think he could have been a real shining light under David Moyes. But at the same time, if he's not going to be fit for another 1.5, 2 months, we need someone who's going to be able to contribute in these times, because we need to be picking up points as soon as possible and be flying up that table, because we don't want to still be in a relegation race at around March, April time. So we will have to see. A coaching arrival has come in, as that David Moyes has confirmed that former Liverpool player Charlie Adam is under consideration to join his backroom staff as a set-piece coach. I don't really know what to say about Charlie Adam. People who've actually maybe seen his coaching work, I'll have to let me know. I know he was the Fleetwood manager for a little bit before getting sacked, but I don't really know how it works as a set-piece coach. We'll have to see how that goes. And the last bit of breaking news that came out today is that the club have confirmed that we have resolved all outstanding PSR charges brought by the Premier League. The Premier League has formally discontinued the second part of the PSR complaint for the period ending financial year 2023 and has deemed the club PSR compliant for financial year 2024. Fantastic. Great to hear. Hopefully it means we can spend some money now in January. I know this is technically fine, but it's one where we'll have to see, and I think it's a really positive sign of the future of the club that we are now in situations where we're not have to worry about a points deduction. That's, it's a monkey off the club's shoulder, and I think it's one where we'll have to see where it goes, but it's some really exciting news, and it is exciting to see this much transfer news, because it means hopefully the club are busy, Moyes is busy, and that we'll hopefully get a few players in by the end of January. But thank you all for watching this video. If you did enjoy, please make sure to like and subscribe. Follow us on Twitter at Everton Newsfeed, and follow me on Twitter at Callum3. And I'll see you all for the next video and our live stream that I am on. Goodbye, everyone.